preserving and sharing the history of Herkimer County since 1896. The Herkimer County Historical Society and Herkimer County Community College present Climbing Your Family Tree. Local news director and anchor Steve McMurray was invited to climb his family tree and discover his Herkimer County heritage.
I know my mother's side is from Herkimer County predominantly. My father's from West York. My mother is from, she was born in Frankfort, lived there all her life. I believe her mother's side is, I want to say perhaps Schuyler, Herkimer type area. Not sure about her father's side, but I'm pretty sure they were local as well, because all his brothers, what would be for, you know, the standard 2 generations back, i.e. their grandparents. My grandparents were all gone by the time I came here. They died in the 60s. So it'll be interesting to see a little bit about them, plus their lineage going back.
Steve begins his tree climbing journey at the Historical Society, where Executive Director Susan Perkins prepares him to find out just how deeply rooted he is in Herkimer County and Central New York.
Hi, Steve.
Hi.
Thank you for coming today. We're going to take you on an adventure of finding out your family tree on your mother's side.
Oh, very exciting.
We understand that you don't know a lot about your mother's side, and so today we're going to find out. And so we started with we always start with what we know, and we were able to find your mother's obituary. And also, obituaries are good in that they tell survivors, and then you can do research the survivors. You can also research the person who deceased and find out who their parents were, and then you can work backwards from there.
Okay, yeah, interesting. I obviously remember this, and
right.
you know, we were saying I didn't remember much of my mother's side. Her parents were both gone long before I was born. That's about as deep as it goes. You know, 1 generation, maybe 2, but post that, or pre that, I should say, don't really know much about them at all. So. And
we were able to find your grandfather's obituary.
I've seen this before, but yeah, okay. He was born on September 15th, 1902 in Jersey City, New Jersey, a son of William H. and Margaret Coutier Knox. He married the former Nellie Hike of Frankfort. Mr. Knox, a resident here for the past 38 years, had also been employed by Sperry Rand, Ilion. He was a member of the First Baptist Church, Olive Branch Masonic Lodge, Frankfort Special Police, Frankfort Fire Department, and a former welfare officer of the town of Frankfort.
So this tells us he was very community-minded.
Yeah.
And I understand you're part of the Frankfort Fire Department also.
Yes, as a matter of fact, 20 years this September. I received some historical materials from a gentleman named Bill Mack, whose father, Red Mack, was the department in the 30s, 40s, 50s.
Oh.
It was an old ledger from company number 2, and it had about 50 years worth of minutes in it. And I was in company 2. Of course, I didn't get until 1991, but my grandfather was in company 2, and I actually found the couple years worth of minutes when he was the president. And funny story, I was looking through it. He was actually president. They actually had a meeting the night my mother was born. And so I'm looking through, and he wasn't there. He had the vice president do it that night, so I wanted to check and see, because I knew she was born, I think, early.
Now we'll go back to the Knox side. Nellie Hike Knox. And we were able to find her obituary, once again at the Basel Library.
She was born July 21st, 1900 in East Schuyler. So I knew there was I thought Schuyler. Daughter of Oscar H. and Ella Golden Hike. Interesting, they both died young as well. My grandfather's 59, she was 62.
And now I'm gonna have to plug that. We're gonna go to Ancestry.com. Type in Oscar Hike. Of course, Ancestry.com is a paid site.
Oscar H. Hike, and underneath him, Ella Seymour.
It's Bessie.
Bessie. Oscar H. Jr., Harry, and Nellie. So Nellie was the youngest.
Yes.
Okay.
And Nellie's.
Yeah, this says she was 9.
Yep.
Okay.
And so then it tells the relationship of the family members, and it'll tell how old they were at the time of the census. Husband and wife, they were married. This was only their first marriage. But the interesting thing we found in this column tells how many children Nellie had. And it says she had, how many children she had?
No, not Nellie.
I mean Ella.
Ella.
Ella had
5? Is that?
She had 6.
6, okay.
But only 5 are living in 1910. You can also go to the next census and get more information, or you can work backwards and find out more information on Oscar. And so that's a great. A lot of the hikes are buried in the Oak Hill Cemetery.
I knew there was some sort of Schuyler Herkimer connection. I didn't know whose side it was, but I did know that because there was always a superstition, and it still goes. My father still. There are houses. If you go down Route 5 in Schuyler, there are houses on the other side of the railroad tracks, and they're. And he might have made this up. I don't know, but anytime if we forget something, go back in the house. He wants you to sit for a second. And the story goes is that apparently in the horse and buggy days, and I don't know if it was my mother's relatives or who it was. It might have been if it's Schuyler related. Came across the tracks, made it fine, left, made it fine, forgot something, went back, came across the tracks, got stuck on the tracks, hit by a train. Now, he might have made that up, but that's always a superstition that if you forget something and you go back in the house, you have to sit for, even if it's 10 seconds.
Oh, wow.
So, a little strange, but.
Yes. Wow, that's something. Now, we have the marriage announcement of Nellie Hike and Earl Knox from the Evening Telegram of September 20th, 1923.
After the ceremony, a delicious luncheon was served at the home of the bride's parents, the occasion being also Mr. and Mrs. Hike's 45th wedding anniversary.
We have a picture of Nellie Gertrude Hike, and this is from courtesy of Robert Loomis. We don't know the date of it, but it's possibly at the time of her wedding.
Could be. Yeah. I think I've seen this, I don't know where, but I think I've seen this before. Huh. Now, that's interesting. Now, I don't know whose side my mother looks like, because I don't. The hair. Yeah. The hair is similar, but facial features not as much. But wow.
I kept saying, yeah, the hair, the curly hair. And of course, Nellie's daughter Oscar and Ella Jane Hike. We're fortunate that we have an extensive genealogical resources here, a lot of books. And just so happens we have the Hike family genealogy.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Way back to the 1600s with the first Hike that came to America.
Okay.
And here we have Oscar's parents.
Jeremiah William Hike, born in Herkimer. Minerva Caldwell. You know what, I knew, because there were a couple Caldwells in school, and I remember my father mentioning that it might be distant relatives.
Okay. And so then the book goes back to the 1600s in New York State, in Kinderhook, New York area, to Andreas Hans Hike, and he was the first Hike in America.
Wow. Huh. Okay.
We have also Oscar Hike's obituary.
Okay. Apparently native of Fairfield. Okay.
And notice he died 1923. It was on October 6th in the paper, so it was a week after the wedding.
Oh, okay.
The daughter's wedding.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know if the wedding was too much for him or what, but it's an interesting, a week later.
A week after. Oh,
yeah.
Man.
So we also have a picture of Oscar Hike, courtesy of Robert Loomis.
Oh boy. Now see, he has the same hairline that I do.
Yeah,
there we
yeah,
go.
yeah.
So eventually it goes through the mother's side.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're going to continue with Ella Golden's line. And we have Ella Golden Hike's obituary from the Utica Observer Dispatch of April 30th, 1926.
Mrs. Hike was born in German Flats, February 19th, February 19th, 1861, the daughter of Abner and Catherine Golden. Okay.
So now we know her parents, who her parents were. We have the 1865 census, which was done, New York State did it on the 5s. And it shows the Goldens. Their property was a value of $500 in the town of German Flats, and it shows all the people that were in the family.
Yep. Catherine, James, William, Ira, Ida, Ella, Alan, and Jane.
And notice that
Jane was a sister and lived with them.
Yes.
And they were farmers. Okay.
Yep, farmers.
And they list the 15-year-old James as a farmer. So it must be as an occupation at 15.
Wow. We have a picture of Ella Golden as a young girl,
Oh, wow.
courtesy of Robert Loomis,
Okay.
possibly taken at the time of the census. Can't really tell how old she is from the picture.
It could be 6 or 7.
Then we have, this is a neat picture, the entire Golden,
Oh, wow.
the Golden family, showing the 7 children with the parents Abner and Catherine. And starting in the back row on the left is Alan.
Okay.
Then we have Ira. Then we have William and James. Then seated are Ida, Abner, Catherine, and Ella. And then sitting on the floor is Nellie. And I think it was taken either in the late 1880s or early 1890s. Then we have the 1850 census. And we wanted to work backwards to see who Abner's parents were. And so they were...
Isaac Golden, Emmeline, Abner, Catherine, Jane, Theodore, Ira, and Stephen.
Notice all the different ages in there.
Yeah.
So there's...
As young as 8 and as old as... So Isaac was 62. Was Emmeline the wife? She's
Yeah.
40.
Yeah,
Okay.
age difference there.
Wonder if there's a second wife in there. Maybe not. I mean, because then Stephen, is that a brother or is that a son? He's 25 and 26. 30. Well, there's got to be a first. There's got to be a second wife then.
Right.
If Abner's
Yes.
32 and she's 40. Okay.
Right, so...
There we go.
So census tells
Sure.
tells you wonderful stories, leads you to wondering, okay, now how are we going to find out more about the Abner Golden's family and Isaac Golden? Because it couldn't go any farther back in the census. 1850 is the first census where they have the people listed. Earlier census, it's the head of household, and everybody else in the household is a number.
Okay.
So that's not very helpful in identifying people in the household.
Right.
But fortunately, we just had a collection given to us that had the Reed genealogy.
Abner Golden, son of Betsy Reed. Born October 25th, 1817, Little Falls. He married Catherine Graham, daughter of Major Graham. She died in Schuyler. And then lists the children. Abner Golden was a farmer. He lived in Fairfield, Little Falls,
And
Schuyler.
then we can go back one further on Abner Justice Golden.
Betsy Reed, daughter of Abner, born in 1794. Died July 15th, 1831. She married Isaac Golden, farmer in the vicinity, born August 16th, 1787. Died January 10th, 1861. Buried in Little Falls. And they had Abner.
So Betsy Reed is the daughter of Abner Reed, and Abner is named after his grandfather.
Yeah.
And then you can go back further.
3 Mile Bay, Jefferson County. This would make his birth March 12, 1770. Jefferson County history says he was born in Connecticut, but we can't depend on that book. He married a German woman named Anna Timmerman who lived at or near Little Falls. Continued to live at top notch for many years. Tradition says he was one time High Sheriff of Herkimer County, but his name is not in the official list. He may have been a deputy sheriff. They owned 100 acres, 1 house, 2 outhouses, no slaves, an estate valued at $2,000. They listed everything.
They did.
4 females, 2 females over 16, 1 under 16, 1 voter, 2 horses, 15 sheep, and 1 hog. There you go. All righty.
Be self-sufficient,
Yeah.
right? Now that we have the Anna Timmerman connection, we're going to send you on to Nancy Chalk, who's president of the Snell Zimmerman Timmerman Family Reunion.
Okay.
So your next stop will be with Nancy.
Oh, okay.
You'll find more about the Timmermans.
Oh, interesting.
On the next segment of Climbing Your Family Tree, we take Steve back to the 1700s to learn more about his 4th great-grandmother, Anna Timmerman, where he meets Nancy Chalk, president of the Snell Zimmerman Timmerman Family Reunion at the Snellsbush Church in Mannheim.